Am I the asshole for calling the police on my client? I, 28 female, do babysitting on the weekends to make some babysitting on the weekends to make some extra cash. There is one family I definitely should have phased out by now, but the kids are cute, and if I don't have another job, it is easy money. My issue is the mom is never home on time. She used to not give me return times, but finally I started asking as it made it impossible to get anything done on the weekends. I'd go babysit so she could go to quote unquote brunch, but she'd be gone from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. My whole day was gone. After that, she'd start giving me times, but she would never stick to them. She wouldn't even call to tell me. She would just stay out. On Saturday, I got to her house at 6, and she was supposed to be home by 9. I told her she needed to be on time because I had plans to go out with friends. I was even getting ready at their house after I put the kids to bed. She promised that she would be home by 9. Of course, 9 o'clock rolls around and she's not home. I call her, no response. I text her, no response. Another hour, nothing. I'm still calling and texting. Finally, it is now midnight. By this point, my plans are long ruined, but I'm pissed and exhausted. I call her and leave a voicemail saying that if she's not home in the next hour, I'm considering the kids abandoned and I'm calling the cops. I also texted this to her. I tried calling her 30 minutes later and it goes to voicemail on the second ring. I text her again and she leaves me on red. If she had reached out saying, "Hey, I'm staying out until X time," I would have stayed. I don't know any of her family nor the father of the kids, so I can't call them. I gave her a grace period of 15 minutes and tried calling again. Finally, I called the cops. I did call the non-emergency line. They showed up and I showed our agreement in text from earlier in the week confirming that she'd be home by 9. They tried contacting her and she didn't answer. I was dismissed and they took the children to the police station. I went home and I went to bed. I was awoken at 3 a.m. by a frantic call. "It's her. Where are the kids? Why am I not here?" I followed through on my threat and to check the police station. She ended up cussing me out on the phone. I hung up on her and I went back to bed. The next day, she sends me an essay saying the kid's father was called and now there's a DCF investigation launched against her. She called me every name under the sun, but I didn't think that I was in the wrong until I spoke to a friend that had kids. She said that I should have just waited it out and refused to ever sit for her again. She asked if her potentially losing her kids was worth me being petty. So, was I the asshole for calling the police on my client? Am I the asshole for losing weight before my sister's wedding? I, 28 female, used to be quite overweight. Over the last year or so, I have made many changes in my life and have successfully lost almost 100 pounds. I don't live close to any of my family and I don't post on social media, so my family wasn't really aware of my weight loss. I did mention that I was making healthier choices, but that's it. It's just that every time before that I've tried to lose weight, it hasn't worked out, so I didn't want anyone commenting on it. My sister, 26 female, got engaged last year and I'm so happy for her. Due to circumstances, the wedding had to be pushed back a little bit. It's happening a week from now, and because I haven't seen everyone in so long, I decided to come down 2 weeks earlier to help out and catch up. Well, When I came to see my family, my sister freaked out upon seeing me. As it turns out, she has gained a little bit of weight, not anything super noticeable to me. She still looks great, but I think this is the first time in our lives that I'm smaller than her. I've always been the quote unquote fat sister. She basically accused me of trying to upstage her, and my parents are fully taking her side. I'm really not sure if I'm in the wrong here, as so many of my family are taking her side of this. I don't know what to do. I mean, there's 2 weeks left to the wedding. I could eat burgers every day and try and gain it back. But was I the asshole for losing weight before my sister's wedding? Asshole for confronting my daughter for not telling me she was coming out on Facebook? Hi, Reddit. I know the title sounds bad, but bear with me. I'm 42 and a single mother of 3 kids, 2 daughters, 20 and 10, and a son, 18. I've raised the kids completely alone since their fathers couldn't be bothered to be in their lives. My kids are my world, and I did the best I could to support us while I made it through school to become a nurse. My oldest and I have always been best friends. I always joke that she's my mini-me. But recently, out of nowhere, she's like a stranger to me. Ever since I gave her the choice to move out, and she did over a year ago, I barely see or talk to her anymore. She barely comes home, and when she does, she's only here to see her siblings. It feels like she's avoiding me. I know she's an adult, but I can't help but feel left out. Now for the fight. For background, my daughter came out to me around 9 months ago because she was afraid one of her other friends was going to out her. I told her that I loved her and I would always put my issues aside for her. I thought everything was fine. Her girlfriend has been over the house to visit and for birthdays, and I always make sure to be polite to her. We do get along great. My daughter agreed to babysit her sister for a week while my son and I went on vacation. After making these plans, she and I got into an argument at a family party, and she stopped speaking to me and only spoke to her siblings. I was scrolling on Facebook a few days before she was supposed to pick up her sister when I saw that she had changed her relationship status to in a relationship with girlfriend's name, and another post about coming out. I felt left out and hurt that she would do this without thinking about me. I'm her mother, and she couldn't even be bothered to text me about what she was going to do. I don't care if she's a lesbian, not bisexual anymore, but she should have told me she was fully gay before coming out on Facebook. I texted her about this and how hurt I was and lost her mind on me, and she called me homophobic. I'm a nurse. I couldn't be one if I wasn't accepting. My daughter is really mad at me and now won't speak to me unless I agree to go to therapy with her. Am I the asshole for being upset with my daughter for coming out to Facebook before me? Am I the asshole for exposing my parents' favoritism? My parents have always favored my younger brother. I was by no means unloved, but it was blatantly obvious who they cared about more. I worked a part-time job to get my first car, but my brother got one as a present. It wasn't new, but was much newer than my car. It was the same with just about anything else, like clothes, video games, and cell phones. I'm 18 and am taking a gap year before community college to work a full-time job and save money for tuition. But a while back, I heard my parents talking about how much they were going to pay for my brother's tuition. I secretly recorded the conversation from around the corner and then came out asking my parents why they were going to pay for my brother's college, but not mine. They didn't notice my phone was recording and just said that my brother needed more help. I asked how, so when I wasn't getting any sort of scholarship and he likely wouldn't either. Then I asked a few more questions about why things have always been this way. They got mad, and my father told me that perhaps it's time I moved out because they are sick of keeping a roof over my head. I pointed out that I pay rent, but they didn't care. I left the room, and in a fit of rage, I uploaded the video of 2 different social medias I have and ranted about how this is how my parents have always been. Well, a few hours later, my parents were pounding at my door. My dad was screaming at me about how I made them look bad. We fought some more, and they left the room fuming. My grandparents contacted me later and said that they were appalled, then came to visit with a lot of the family the next day. There was a huge family intervention, and my parents were made to sit on the couch and look at their feet while being told off. It was then I found out that they had been receiving money for years from my grandparents to help with family expenses. My brother looked like he didn't know what to do, so he sided with the rest of the family and said he noticed how I'm treated as well. My parents gave me a huge apology that sounded super forced. My grandparents have offered that I come live with them soon and will cut off the monthly payments to my parents. My father told me I should have never told the rest of the family, and now he won't talk to me. And my mother has been crying for days. So I'm starting to wonder, did I go too far? Was I the asshole for exposing my parents' favoritism?